Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Monday Medz Health Nuggets. I'm your host, Tanisha Lawrence, with Monday Medz Health and Wellness Ministry. So, yes, we know it's been a long journey through this series of the Mind Your Mind series. And as we said in previous features, what we thought would have been coming closer to the end seems as though we are just about getting started. However, we will continue this feature as long as God permits and allows because we really need to take care of our mind and we need tools to help us to do so. As we talked about in the last feature, we focused on how you can be safe and care for your mind after a hurricane. And that was part one. We'll do part two today. So, in this feature, my focus will be how we can truly help ourselves and others avoid the leptospirosis outbreak that has been declared here in Jamaica. And if you're outside of Jamaica, this can be useful to you, as in, it is important to know how you can be safe from any immune system damaging outbreak. And so let's get started. So, according to Dr. Christopher Tufton, the health minister from the Ministry of Health and Wellness here in Jamaica, there have been 6 deaths from leptospirosis. And so he has declared a leptospirosis outbreak. The Minister of Health and Wellness gave us that update. And from his update, he announced that there have been 6 confirmed deaths from leptospirosis. And these deaths were from about 4 parishes, if my memory serves me correctly. These were areas that were hardest hit by Hurricane Melissa. At Monday Medz Health and Wellness Ministry, we are concerned about your health and the health of your family and also your community. And hence, we are taking the time to focus on this today because it is vital for us to ensure that we keep a healthy body, which breeds a healthy mind. Now, leptospirosis, according to jamnetwork.com, is caused by bacteria of the genus Leptospira, which is spread through the urine of infected animals, including rodents, livestock, and pets. Humans can become infected through contact with contaminated water or soil, often through cuts or abrasions on the skin or through mucous membranes. And so, to put it simple, many of us know that leptospirosis is usually connected to rats, and the urine of rats consuming foods that were infected by the urine of rats, whether it is that they bit your food, who knows if they peed over it and that sort of stuff. So it's always good if you notice your food has been bitten, it's good to just throw it all out. Don't try to peel off anything, but just throw it all out because you don't know if the rat or the insect peed all over it and infected that food. I personally had an instant not too long ago where my bread was eaten or bitten by rats. And it was so hard to throw out the whole bag. I only had about 3 slices and I left it overnight, and rats went through it and left probably about 2 slices untouched. And it was hard to throw the whole bag out, but it was for my safety that I did so. And this is a side note. It is better for you to throw it out than to get sick. Listen, a bag of bread here in Jamaica or a loaf of bread here in Jamaica, it's about 600 Jamaican dollars. And if you're in the US, this is about $4. Just think about it. It is not worth it to risk your health for $4, $4 or 600 Jamaican dollars. I know it is hard times, and many of you probably don't even have access to getting the food that you need, but it's better to be without it for a while than to eat it and get sick. And I know it is tough times, like I said before, but I pray that God will provide for you good food to eat. So, as we continue talking about leptospirosis, and it's not just leptospirosis and being safe, but this is a major factor, especially after a lot of rains, a lot of rainfall in one area. An outbreak such as leptospirosis can cause major problems in a country after excessive rainfall. And the epidemiologist mentioned last week that it is common to have cases of leptospirosis around this time due to excessive rainfall around this time of the year, but the cases are much more than usual. This is as a result of the passage of Hurricane Melissa. So you may say, so how can I treat leptospirosis? Or better yet, how can I avoid getting leptospirosis? Now, like I said before, it is important that we avoid any food that we notice that have been bitten or may have been exposed to rodents such as rats. Also, it is important for us to try to secure our foods. Many of us may not have refrigeration at this time, and so it may be harder for us to protect our food. So we may not have a fridge, may not have a refrigerator that is functional to put the food in. And some of these rodents, some of these rats, they're very skillful. They can find ways of getting into even refrigerators sometimes. It's remarkable how they operate. It is important for us to try to protect our food as best as possible. For those of us who are able, it would be a great idea to get some 5-gallon buckets. Yes, those white 5-gallon buckets. It would be good for you to get those that you can actually store away your food, that they are not contaminated by rodents or insects. However, ensure that these 5-gallon buckets are clean and make sure that they were not previously used to store chemicals. That is a big one. So we have to ensure that whatever container we're going to put our food in, it was not chemically used, or it was not used for chemical storage previously. We should ensure that also if we are using them for water storage or water consumption. As we continue to talk about how we can care for our bodies and to mind our mind, let us look at some other ways that we can avoid exposing ourselves to leptospirosis. So, leptospirosis, like we said previously, if you're just joining us, leptospirosis is bacteria that is transferred from the urine of a rodent or animals that were infected. If a person consumes foods that are contaminated by these rodents, it is highly possible that they may contract leptospirosis. Now, it is important for us to understand that we can treat our water. So it's not just food that is contaminated, but also water that may be contaminated by rodents. And so we can treat our water, whether it is we want to treat our water with bleach. And we did talk about the bleach method in the last feature extensively. If you did miss that feature, if you missed last week's feature, definitely check out our YouTube channel. It is right there on how you can keep safe and purify water after a hurricane. It is in the Mind Your Mind series playlist. So as we continue talking about how we can be safe, we talked about purifying our water with bleach. And this is one of the things I'll encourage for those of you who are desirous of doing relief work in these areas that are hardest hit. I would encourage you to take with you some bottles of bleach. And remember, these bleach should be between 5 to 8.25% sodium hydrochloride bleach. And so, yes, I would highly encourage that you take some of this bleach in your care packages because people really need to be safe. They not just need food and water, but they need to have safe water. So we can purify water with bleach, and a simple method as I shared before, but I'll recap for those who missed last feature. If you have a gallon of water, you can use simply 6 to 8 drops of bleach in a gallon of water. And remember to mix it well and allow it to rest for at least 30 minutes before using. Now, I say on the safer side, at least an hour before using. If you're not sure if the water is looking cloudy, that means it is possibly more contaminated. It is recommended that you double that. So it isn't recommended that you do 16 drops of bleach. And this would be about a quarter teaspoon of bleach. And so on the safe side, to be on the safe side, like I said, mix well and also let it rest for about 60 minutes before using. And if it's cloudy, the water should clear up when it rests. Now, reports have come in that individuals in Westmoreland, especially those who are close to the river, have been drinking from the Ancho River. And some of the cases, majority of the cases of leptospirosis were coming out of Westmoreland. I am imploring us as best as possible to get bleach to purify your water. I know that many of you may not have access to boiling, or many of you may not have access to the charcoal filtration method. So the best method possibly for you may be the bleach. And so again, if you do use bleach, let it rest. I know you may be thirsty, but let it rest for at least 30 minutes before using it. As we talk about leptospirosis and rodents and all of that, leptospirosis doesn't just occur within areas of high rainfall, but it can occur at any point wherever there are rodents. And so this is important for those of you who are not in Jamaica, who may not be affected by the hurricane or may not be affected by heavy rainfall. You may not think this is important for you to know, but it is vital information for you to note. You may not need it right now, but it is vital information that you or someone you know may need some time to come. As we wrap up Monday Medz Health Nuggets today, I am encouraged by the Word of God that tells us to fight the good fight of faith. I know it's so hard for many people right now It is so hard for many of us right now, faced with life's uncertainty. But be encouraged that you can fight the good fight. Fight the good fight of faith. Because truly, these are times for us to have faith in God. Have a safe day, everyone, and God be with you. See you soon.